Now that we've discussed managed disks, let's also talk about managed disk snapshots because this is a natural kind of next question, especially when you're thinking about high availability or kind of disaster recovery scenarios. So let's go into this server's resource group. We'll go to web server 1, which is a virtual machine that I built here for demonstration purposes. Let's head over to the disk configuration for this server. You can see here that I've got an operating system disk, and then I've got a data disk, which would show up in Windows as like an E drive, a secondary disk. Now, doing disk snapshots and recovering data for like a point-in-time restore, probably not so much high availability, more of a disaster recovery type of thing, but this is something you should keep in mind as you're building out your solutions because it may drive the design, how you're building things out. But in either case, you could snapshot the OS disk, you could snapshot one or all of the data disks that you have. So you could come into any one of these disks. Let's go into the data disk, for example. We could come in, create a snapshot, and we would give this a name. And this would, of course, give us a brand new disk in managed storage. And then we could use that, connect that disk to a virtual machine, or we could create new disks based off the snapshot. So for example, data disk 1, snap 1, for example, and then pick the resource group that we want it to go in. We'll just pick the existing one. And then the type of storage that it should use, standard or premium. So from there, we could go off, create that snapshot. And of course, this is all stuff that you could do from the command line interface. You could do this in code, so you can automate this process if you want to. So from there, you could go back into the server's resource group. You take a look in here, do a refresh. And up at the top here, we can see that we do have a disk snapshot. So it has the name that we gave it earlier. And now we can export this. We can generate a URL, download that VHD, and work with the data that way. Or we could go create a new resource, look for a disk resource. And then in this case, since the source was a managed disk, we'll pick the managed disks resource here, click on create. And then the source type can be snapshot, and from the drop-down list, we can pick our snapshot. So we could build a brand new disk, and then we could go connect it to an existing virtual machine if we wanted to do a point-in-time restore. So again, all of this infrastructure is running in the same region, and in terms of high availability, you might use this process basically as a manual process to restore a disk in some kind of disaster scenario or some kind of outage scenario. So just keep it in mind as you build out your designs for a highly available solution on Azure. Now, one of the things you want to remember with managed disks is that each time you do a snapshot, you're basically doing it from scratch. There's no concept of incremental snapshots. And if you were to try to snapshot all the disks for a virtual machine at the same time, maybe through a script or something like that, there's no guarantee that the data is going to be consistent. So in those scenarios, you might want to use a backup service like Azure Backup. We'll take a look at that in the next video.